she's got to go to the hotel now for lunch with these ladies. Oh, the horror. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm excited that you're here. Today I'm going to be recapping and giving my thoughts on episode 5 of the Korean drama Run On, currently up on Netflix. So if you like K-dramas and you like recaps and reviews, this is the channel for you, so make sure to subscribe and like this video. And with that, let's get into what happens in episode 5. We start off episode 5 not where we left off with Mi-ju and Sung-kyung, but with Sung-yeom being confronted by his mother and his father's secretary. I feel his mother is there just to kind of say hello and remind him that she exists and she's his mother. And the secretary is there to warn him to stay off social media and don't get photographed doing anything stupid, since they are working on covering the scandal that has been, you know, going around about him. This is also when Sung-yeom asked the secretary about the translator, since this is after the whole Jeju Island situation. And the secretary seems a little put off and curious as to why he would even care about the translator, since he was working for his father. And this is how Sung-yeom finds out that his father had bribed her, since the secretary just outright tells him that that's the case. So after we see how he found out, we are taken back to the scene where we ended in episode 4. You can tell in the scene that Mi-ju is so ashamed about what happened, but she admits that yes, his father did bribe her, and she did take the money. However, she does not mention, for some reason, that she actually returned it. I think because either way, she was bribed and she did take the money, so whether she returned it or kept it is kind of a moot point. She tells him, yes, I did it, and apparently it's not the first time she's been bribed, and that's her weakness, money. She needs it, she'll take it wherever she can get it. And he wouldn't understand, considering he's been rich his whole life. People know that she takes bribes, and this is kind of a common occurrence for her. And she tells him, it's okay to be angry at me and never want to talk to me again, since our entire relationship and conversations up until this point have been fake, you know, because your dad paid me. Now, if we've learned anything about our Sung-yeom, it's that he's very sweet and understanding and is just a saint. And he tells her that even if she was being fake in those moments, they still happened and were meaningful to him. And that got me. With this, and not really knowing what else to say, she asks him to return her gun, and when taking it back, she tells Sung-kyung, let's never see each other again, trying to cut the relationship off. When she says that, Sung-kyung pauses before returning the gun and says he'll only return it if she agrees to see him. So exhausted, she just sort of gives up on it and is like, fine, you can see me, just give me the gun so I can go. She was like, I'm just too tired to fight with you right now. Like, let's just deal with this later. So she takes the gun and leaves. I'm personally very happy that she agreed to continue to see Sung-kyung, since his world is just being turned upside down right now. You know, he's been kicked off the team, and the scandal is still going around that, you know, he attacked his fellow athletes. So, you know, it's really tough for him. And like most people who have been doing something the same for years and years and years, it's hard for him to get out of those habits. So we see him getting up early in the morning for his morning run and realizing he doesn't really need to do that anymore. He's not in training. And he even drank last night. So he's trying to get out of what he has been doing. He's trying to break those habits, since they're not really needed anymore. Luckily, he has a new job to look forward to, since the plan was he was going to retire and then coach a local track team that he had been supporting financially before that point. He goes to the school to meet up with the teammates and, you know, bring snacks and stuff and kind of get acclimated to being their coach. However, as he arrives on campus, he is met with the principal, who tells him that they sadly can't let him coach because the parents have complained due to the scandal about him attacking his teammates and, you know, being suspended. Se-kyung, of course, graciously understands and asks if he can still sponsor the girls, maybe under a different name if, you know, him being involved at all is upsetting. And she, you know, agrees, and my gosh, it just hurts my heart so much. And I see what Miju sees, like, even though he's so calm and understanding through it all, he's just, oh, it's hurting my heart because you know he's hurting. He's just not showing it because of everything in his past. It's so upsetting. So now Se-kyung is really, really unemployed. Like, he had that going for him, and now he doesn't have anything. Great. We also have some funny and juicy stuff happen to our second leads in this episode, from Lee Young-hwa getting cat whiskers drawn on his face as he's passed out in class from his friend who was sort of getting payback for him drawing, I think, a clown or something on his face early in the series. Once he notices that people around him are kind of looking at him funny, he, you know, sees his face in the mirror and realizes that he looks like a cat and just kind of runs with it. You know, he meets some other classmates, and playing on the whole cat whisker thing, you know, they ask a question or they have a conversation and they add meow to it, and he meows back. And he's obviously so embarrassed, but he leans into it, and he did a really great job just leaning into that. And it was just also adorable. Like, who doesn't want a cute boy with little whiskers meowing at you? Like, it was adorable. I loved it. And I feel like this also didn't give his friend the type of satisfaction he was expecting, you know? So I think all in all, that was just a really fun and silly scene that I'm glad that they added it. We do see that he has been thinking about Donna. We see him looking at a very tall building while he's at another part-time job where he's working with these cute little kids to draw. So he's like teaching art to little kiddos. So adorable. Made my ovaries explode a little bit. And coincidentally, he later on gets to see her because his friend needs to drop something off for his mother. And so they run into each other, and she doesn't fully acknowledge him, but through conversation with the friend, you know, she finds out that he's 23, he's still in school, all that stuff, and doesn't acknowledge him until after his friend sort of walks off and she smells turpentine or something on him and is curious about that. Like, why do you smell like that? This is when she acknowledges him, and he asks, why didn't you acknowledge me before? And she's just like, I didn't really see the point, you know? She's a busy rich lady. She doesn't need to, you know, be acknowledging everyone left and right. Psh. He also takes this opportunity to try and pay her back for the broken bracelet, and when he tells her the amount and it being a hefty sum, she smirks at him because, you know, she's a rich bitch and that's just some chump change. And, you know, she just sort of laughs it off over, you know, talking to her secretary, like, can you believe this guy? Can you believe him? Oh, hefty sum. Oh. So we see him start drawing the castle as he looks up at this tall building, thinking about her. And then later he sees her at the cafe looking at one of his paintings and starts sketching a Rapunzel-esque character based on her. This could be considered a little creepy, him just standing out there sketching her, but I guess it's better than taking creepy photos or just, you know. There was a minor amount of creep, but not a lot of creep. It's very interesting that she's Rapunzel, and we had Miju call Se-kyung Cinderella a few episodes ago when, you know, seeing if the shoes fit. So before this sketching scene, we see Donna get into it with her half-brother who also works at the same company that their father owns, and it's in regards to the line of succession and how he thinks that she can't be CEO and she needs to just quit her job and get married already like she should because she's a woman. And I guess that she has been detaining getting married by telling everybody that she's a lesbian. Pretty much calls her out saying, hey, you coming out of the closet was fake. You're not really gay. You're just avoiding getting married. And also, even though you're the only legitimate child of the father who owns the company, that she can never be CEO because she's a woman and he is the rightful heir. This guy's just a dumb, pompous jerk. Like, he's just so easy to hate, and I feel like it's too easy for her to just get him every time. Like, he tries to come at her and she's like, no, no, no. For instance, when he brings up the fact that he is the rightful heir because he is the first male-born son, even though illegitimate, she agrees and then goes to read off from memory what the contract or terms are of how a male heir of a lowly woman can take over the family shrine responsibilities, but a daughter of the legitimate line can't. And he takes offense to this since she's pretty much insulting his mother, being like, this lowly woman had a kid out of wedlock with my dad. He's illegitimate, but he can still run the shrine, whatever. This is when she threatens / suggests, should we just tell everyone that you're the illegitimate son and that way you're guaranteed the company? But it seems that they want to keep that a secret, even though obviously they are very close. I'm guessing that the company and people that work there don't actually know that his father is the CEO. He's just somebody that works there and is successful in the higher ranks of his own accord, not because daddy is helping him along. But this definitely shuts him up and she walks away being all like, got you, mofo. He does end up taking out his frustration on her secretary though as she walks away because, he just got it bad from her and, his ego was really bruised from all that. And speaking of egos and D-bags, poor Mi-ju, while getting back into her regular work, finds out from her associate that she's meeting that there's a rumor going around that the only reason she got that last translating job for that really popular movie that her ex-boyfriend had directed was because that they had dated. And to make matters worse, at that moment, as she's complaining to her roommate about this, she gets a text from her friend who apparently is getting married and she wants all of her girlfriends to meet up for lunch at the same hotel that se-kyung is in to pass out the invitations. And I guess she just can't say no, can't get out of it. So she's got to go to the hotel now for lunch with these ladies. Oh, the horror. While there, the conversation turns very confrontational when the soon-to-be bride asks why Mi-ju isn't getting married. And she asks that same question to the bride-to-be, which she was deflecting. She didn't want to have that conversation. And they start to, get a little heated, have a little argument. And after some time, it's brought up the fact that she was in foster care when they were growing up. And, she doesn't want to talk about it. And this girl says some really mean things. So she takes that cue to leave the lunch. Before she gets up to leave, though, she thinks that she sees Sung-young getting up from one of the other tables in the restaurant, but she isn't able to confirm that until later on when she's outside of the hotel. As she's outside and frustrated, she finds one lowly cigarette in her bag, and Sung-young catches her from having a altercation with the doorman about him not letting her smoke outside of the hotel. So what he does is he comes up, tells the doorman she's with me, promptly takes the cigarette, and he's like, please, ma'am, let me escort you to the smoking section. Which she immediately stops him and asks him, were you just in the restaurant and what did you hear? Because she obviously wants to know if he overheard the fact that she was in foster care, is my guess. But he was looking for a reason to reach out to her, and so when he saw her outside of the hotel, he stopped her, took the cigarette, and offered to escort her so that he would have the chance to talk to her. Apparently, he had just gotten a text from Woo-sik saying he wanted to take him and Mi-ju out for dinner, lunch, just food in general to thank them, and he didn't have her number. She at first just tries to get out of it by saying the gesture is enough, and Sung-kyung, worried that the reason she's saying no is because he's gonna be there, says, I don't have to be there for you to eat lunch with Woo-sik. So with that, she asks Sung-kyung to text her Woo-sik's number and she would take care of the rest. After that little conversation is over, Sung-kyung brings up the fact that the movie that they had seen together was still in theaters. And this is when Miju pretty much tells him that she might have lied a little bit. It was probably going to be in theaters for a little while longer, but she didn't technically know for how long, and it was all really just an excuse to spend time with him. Right after this, Sung-kyung admits that that's the same reason he came up to her to talk about Woo-sik and then about the movie, to spend more time with her. Not sure what about that causes Miju to bring this up, but she wants to make it very clear to him that she was not at the hotel to meet him or to run into him, but was already there to meet some friends for lunch, but is curious why he had asked her to follow her when he saw her outside, and he said it was just to escort her to the smoking area, which makes her laugh. And she tells him that he definitely made her feel better and actually thanks him for not actually asking her what was wrong. I'm assuming this is later that night, but both Sung-kyung and Miju end up at the same restaurant, thinking they were meeting Woo-sik separately, but in reality, he set them up to eat together at a friend's restaurant and without him so that they could reconcile. As they decide whether they should just leave or not, the ajumma who owns the restaurant is yelling at them, hey, just go ahead and sit together. You can't sit separately. There's not enough tables. So they end up sitting together because, you know, they got yelled at, got a little scared. So they decided to call a truce and have some nice drinks and laugh and just an adorable little date. We see another sweet, drunk Sung-kyung. This time he's not being dragged out of the restaurant. He's just tipsy, but still super adorable. And Miju consoles him after he tells her everything that happens with the school and how he can't coach there because of everything that happens and how he feels like a failure. And she does her best to console him, saying that failing isn't really a bad thing. You should make it be part of your path, part of your journey, you know? And then she gives the example of Jerry Maguire and his story. And, you know, of course, Sung-kyung doesn't know who Jerry Maguire is. And she tries to do the very iconic Jerry Maguire scene, show me the money, and that was honestly so adorable. After they laugh some more, enjoy their time together, they walk their separate ways that evening, and that's when Miju gets a text that the news article about Woo-sik has been released and it needs to be translated for the Korean audience to read it because it was written by an American journalist. That's the whole reason there was a translator needed. So she gets to translating the article and spreading it throughout the Korean nation. However, what we don't know and what Sung-kyung doesn't know, but Miju knows, is that during the interview, Woo-sik announces he's not going to be returning to the track team after he heals. This leaves Sung-kyung devastated when he reads this and immediately rushes out to try to find Woo-sik. He goes to the rehab center, he goes to the restaurant where he and Miju had gone to, can't find Woo-sik anywhere, and of course he's not answering his phone calls. So he ends up running in the rain over to where Miju lives, and Miju comes running out knowing exactly why he's there. Him asking her, did you know? Which that felt kind of like a dumb question just because, yeah, she was there because she translated it, but maybe he thought that for some reason she wasn't there for that part. But he just starts asking her a bunch of questions very calmly. And even though he's very calm in the situation, she can tell how upset he is. And when he asks her why she didn't tell him, she said, it's because I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want to break your heart. So it had to happen eventually, but she just was sort of delaying it. And thankfully, he came to her after everything, since obviously he couldn't get a hold of Woo-sik. He needed answers. After this, she tries to get him out of the rain, invites him inside. He's like not moving. So instead, she pulls him in for a hug and comforts him, knowing that his heart is breaking, even if he's not really showing it outwardly. This was something that I was a little worried about at the beginning of the series, was that he was going to appear too robotic. But now that I've seen the more comical, drunk side of Sung-kyung and how he reacts to things, this reaction makes more sense. And like Miju, I feel the pain even if I don't see it. Does that make sense? And that's how they end the episode. I don't know about you, but I was devastated for Se-kyung and for Woo-shik when we as the audience find out that he's gonna quit the team. I cried my eyes out. I was shook. Even though Se-kyung didn't cry, I cried for him. Even though it was very sad what happened to Woo-shik, I thought it was very well done and a good addition to the story. I'm kind of hoping that he somehow does get back on the team and those guys that beat him up get kicked out, but we'll have to wait and see. The bad guys always get their comeuppance, which is one of the things I like about K-dramas. It just sometimes takes a while, like the last episode. But it will happen. Se-kyung is definitely my favorite character. He can do no wrong. And I'm really enjoying everything going on in their plot and story. And I look forward to Miju opening up more about her past, because I mean, we saw that flashback in this episode of her getting money in high school for something somehow. I'm assuming it's for whatever happened to her parents, like she took a bribe to keep however they died a secret, or, you know, not press charges. I don't know. That's just me speculating, but I am looking forward to Se-kyung finding out more about her, though I'm a little worried at the same time, but we'll just have to wait and see. Because, you know, right now she's really been keeping the fact that she's a foster kid and her past there a secret from Se-kyung. You know, she was really worried that he might have overheard the conversation at the restaurant since he was in there, and, you know, her wanting to keep it a secret, obviously I want him to find out. I'm also loving the secondary lead and their story. Shout out to Kang Tae-ho, who made a very cute cat, meow. That scene is just like stuck in my head. It was like the cutest scene. I don't know, I loved it. I think that's all I have to say about this drama at the moment. I'm really enjoying it and think people are kind of sleeping on a really good one here. So if you're not watching it, definitely check it out. I know that True Beauty is kind of the drama to beat right now, but I'm really enjoying Run On. And I do actually have a review for True Beauty if you'd like to check that out. I will have the link below in the description. I'll be doing another recap for episode 6 coming your way. So if you liked this video, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you are notified when episode 6's recap is up. And thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, congratulations. And if you prefer reaction videos, I do have me reacting to episodes 1 through 4 of Run On. Those will be linked in the description below. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.